same-sex marriage stuff that happened in 2019 General Assembly, it was a key moment in terms of the church as a General Assembly making a decision, like we've been talking about these kinds of questions. Someone told me the first official conversation about it at General Assembly was in 1991. So we've been talking about it for a long, long time, and this General Assembly made a decision. In many ways, it feels particularly in some of our presbyteries, and certainly at the national level, we feel like it's very, very polarized. My experience has been that in many congregations, it's not that divisive. There are many places in our church, at least from my experience, where people are living together in congregations with a diversity of perspectives on that question. I know that there are congregations that are more unified in one direction or another, but most of our congregations are not. But they're not necessarily fighting about it. There are places where people are living together with that diversity. I think when it comes to a question like that, like there are different kinds of diversities. There are diversities where you can say, well, your church brings this particular way of doing something, and my church brings this, and I can actually appreciate the difference. And I can say, I really love the way we sing the Psalms in the Catholic Church. And I also kind of like the way we do it in my Presbyterian church some of the time. And I can see that they're different, but they're both good, and they can sort of be side by side, and we don't have to get all worked up about it. We can just sort of receive that as added blessing. We might even say something like that with adopting or embracing, not adopting, but embracing an Indigenous tradition like smudging. So I can participate in smudging. It adds a richness to the spirituality and to my prayer life when Indigenous friends invite me into that process. But there are other things where it feels like our difference means that we can't do something. We have to figure it out and find a way forward.
Yeah.
With the remits that came from the 2019 General Assembly made a lot of people unhappy. I realized that. It made people at both ends of the spectrum unhappy because they were kind of an accommodation. They were kind of trying to look for a middle way, a way that would say, we can't agree on this, but maybe we can make space in our church to have difference. Maybe it's possible for us to live with each other with that difference. And I think that we've been doing that in our churches. In many of our congregations, we have been living with that difference for a long time, but those who are ready to conduct same-sex marriages, be in same-sex marriages, or ordain people in same-sex marriages have needed to not be able to express that, not be able to live out their conviction and their desire. So the remits invite people with traditional perspectives to make space for others. I think it's possible, but people will need to decide that they can do it. It's not going to require anyone to do it, but it's not going to require anyone to conduct same-sex marriages, but it's going to require them to make space for the other. So that's going to be the challenge. I don't know how we'll do, whether we'll be able to manage to live with that difference. Some other denominations have been doing it. I would point to the Lutheran Church, the ELCIC, where they have been living with difference, allowing for same-sex marriage, and that's happening in some church communities and not in others. And so far it's okay.